guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart. In this video, I'll be working on the 2021 and up Yamaha MT-09. What you see behind me is the SP version. Our Elite 1 fender eliminator that you see in front of me fits universally between the standard and SP versions of the 3rd gen bike. The base component of our fender eliminator is the Undertail panel. Replaces the entire stock Undertail panel that's in this location under the tail. The stock one features a hole that allows the stock fender to pass through and mount to the frame. We've closed that out on our panel. We've added some cosmetic raised areas. And what you see here is our new lock cover mechanism. It enables you to insert your key, get it into the key cylinder, turn it, take it back out, and that closes for you to prevent grime, debris, and water from entering into your substrate. We have redesigned the look of this Undertail shape-wise, but we wanted to keep the same design language and curve congruency to the OEM components. So as you see, it'll fit perfectly with the side tails, and then it'll also be texture and color matched. What you see here is our integrated taillight for this bike. We also have the plastic duct components on our taillight, color and texture matched to all of these tail components so that you have a nice congruent look. It looks like it rolled off the factory floor, looking just like that. However, we've actually improved the look through these components. Now, this is the base component of all our fender eliminators. It is also available as a closeout kit. So you will be able to purchase this separately without the license plate holding hardware in case you already have some kind of a specific or homemade license plate bracket and all you want is the actual replacement for your OEM panel. So we'll make that available to you guys as well. All of the installation steps specific to the installation of the Undertail panel by itself are the same as within all of the installations of these full fender eliminator components, so we will not be launching a separate video. You just follow along with the steps and ignore the steps necessary for the license plate holding brackets. When you replace your OEM fender, when you remove that fender, you're removing your signals and you're removing your license plate light. So something will have to be done to replace those components. We offer a separate universal license plate light kit that you can pair with one of these fender eliminators. We don't include it by default. There are specific reasons for that, but it is very easy just to include it with the buy together module or just drop it in your cart separately and you'll get those components together. Within these installation videos, I will be showing how to route the license plate light so that you have success going in and making sure that everything fits together just right. But we do have a separate video available covering just the installation of the license plate light. So you can find that on our website, tstindustries.com, or on our YouTube channel. Moving over to the topic of signaling, we will be offering you guys 2 different videos instructing how to install different signaling options, one of them being our integrated taillight. This is a very nice in-taillight signaling system. The signals are integrated into the capsule of this light. It is also programmable. Has some really cool features. I encourage you guys to check that video out on our website, tstindustries.com, or on our YouTube channel. The external signaling video will cover all the different pod signal types that we offer for this bike, all the different types of mounting methods for the several different versions of our license plate holding hardware. And in that flow, we will also instruct how to use our OEM signal remount kit if you want to use your OEM signals in conjunction with these kits. All right, we went over a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm gonna close up by just going over the materials and a few different nuances of these actual kits before we move on to the installation flow. In front of me, you see 3 different kits. One of them is the Elite 1 standard low mount, which takes your license plate mounting area and moves it down here. Some people are after that really sleek, sexy line convergence look here back in the tail, and they don't want to compromise that by putting a license plate here. So we do offer this mount. Please research the legality of these components in your area before you commit to purchase this kit. It's totally up to you to keep it safe and legal. The Elite 1 standard high comes with a stainless steel bracket, laser cut, bent, powder coated black for a stealthy finish. It is mounted to a CNC machined aluminum intermediate bracket base that then gets coupled with our undertail and installs here back in the tail. And lastly, we have our flagship, the Elite 1 adjustable setup. All of these components are made of 6061 billet aluminum. They are CNC machined, anodized black. They have a really nice gunmetal-like finish. It is the techiest offering we have. This adjustable bracket has a hinge point here, and it allows the adjustability of your hanging angle of the license plate. It also mounts to this intermediate CNC machine bracket. The entire look of this setup is just super tech. I love the look of this. It is very refined and gives you great longevity. In this particular episode, we will put aside our high mount versions and we will focus only on the steps necessary to install the low mount version of the Elite 1 standard Fender Eliminator. Let's get going. In the first step, we will be removing the license plate off the bike and retaining the hardware that is currently holding your license plate onto the bike. Should you need replacement hardware, we do sell these reflective license plate screws and also a nice accent kit that you could choose that has anodized aluminum washers and looks a little bit more minimal than this. It goes a lot nicer with our Fender Eliminator kits. Next, we will remove the seat. Following step, we will be removing this bracket that is screwed on with these 4mm Allen screws. All these have to come out. Please take note of the washers. Also take note how this goes back in. The actual latch mechanism is on the left side of the bike. This is how we will have to return it onto the bike. Next, we will grab a 10mm socket and loosen these nuts. All right, now we have the fender pretty loose. We'll have to find the fender lighting wiring. This is one of them. This is for the license plate light. I like to use a tiny flathead screwdriver to lift up on the locking feature, and that allows me to clear this connector from its mating side. Now, if you're going to be running a license plate light and you're using one of ours, red is positive, black is negative. If you're going to be reusing this portion of the connector, you will wire your red into the green and red wire and black into black. If you're going to be connecting into the bike side, then red will go into blue-red and then black will go into black. Now we need to snip off this zip tie here that connects all these wiring looms together. This stays on the bike. This gets unclipped. This is still the license plate light wire. Now we have these two wire sets in sheaths going to the black and white plugs. These are your connectors for the signals. You'll need to slip those off. The locking mechanism works as follows. There's an interference window here that goes onto a clip. You have to push this down to clear this out of the way and pull it out. Both of these are the same, so no worries there. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and take the nuts off all the way. When I get to this last one, I like to hold my fender from the bottom so it's suspended and it doesn't just fall off. I dropped the nut in there. I will have to find it after the disassembly. We have one more part here that is holding this fender on, and that's this little nub, what I'm going to use on this little fastener is the backside handle of a screwdriver. Just push it out, clears out, and now just wiggle this fender off. Make sure you don't snag any of these wires. And just heard my last fourth nut drop down, so I found it. We're good to go. Now we have our fender off. Let's see what we need to do about cable management here. I like to get this guy back in here under this clip. And now we are good to go to the next step. In this following step, we're going to grab our 4mm Allen and remove these fasteners here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a matching 5 on the opposite side of the bike. We're going to note the location of where these fasteners go, what fasteners go with which location. These are shoulder, large head. This aft one here going into the tail light will have no shoulder, and we'll have a smaller head. The one below here will match the one we just took out of here. And down here again, we have one with a shoulder and a large head. With all of these fasteners gone, now this entire assembly of side shrouds and the undertail will be easily removed off the bike. You need to spread these parts, and this component needs to slide towards the rear to clear some locking elements here. Now we've made access here possible. We have 2 1/4 turn fasteners here protruding from the top tray to the under tray. We will have to clear them out. Let's hop up top here and I'll show you how to do it. All right, up here, we're gonna need a large head Phillips screwdriver. This is a P2 size screwdriver. I'm gonna keep it handy here. Let's identify the 2 1/4 turn fasteners we need to get out. One's under the starter relay, so we'll need to dislodge the relay and get it out of the way here. You don't actually need to remove this connector, but I'm going to, so that I can better show you guys what I'm doing. Here's one, the other one's on the opposite side. Let's go one at a time. If this doesn't clear out on you and the whole head turns, then you're gonna have to hold it from underneath, hold the base, and allow the top to spin, and then push it with your finger from underneath like that, and it comes out. These will not be reused. All right, on this opposite side here, we do have a cable management clip here that clips into the sub tray. If you need to loosen that up to get better access, you can totally do that, but you can also stretch these wires out of the way and gain access here. And of course, this one is being difficult. I'm gonna have to hold the base from the bottom. And I got it to reset. I'm gonna push up from the bottom. It'll pop out. And this way, we make 2 fastener holes that will now enable us to get a screw through along with a nut on top of it using some washers. This is where our low mount license plate bracket will be mounted to. We are at the point where we can consider finally hanging our license plate mount. As you can see, I'm holding the actual license plate bracket. This is a stainless steel bracket, black powder coated, stealthy, minimalistic design, very lightweight. It mounts to those 2 holes that we just removed fasteners from. And you just need to make sure that you have them in the appropriate, you have the whole set of hardware in the appropriate orientation. As you can see, we have the bend going this way. If you try to mount it this way, you'll be hard pressed to actually mount it. So this is the proper orientation here. The stack up of hardware, fastening hardware, will be screw, washer, through the bracket, through the undertail, up to the top, another washer, and the locking nut. The other hardware that is included with this set is for the purpose of carrying your license plate. So we have these finishing washers that fit on the countersunk head of the screw that goes on the actual license plate. The license plate actually does have to be mounted beforehand, and we've given you the hardware for this connection here because it needs to be very low profile. As you can see, the whole stack up is the depth of the nut, and that's because we don't have a lot of room here, and we want to make sure that this license plate actually fits within the subframe here and sits at this angle. During the design phase of this product, we noticed that any which way we mounted this license plate, when it was not deep within here, in the middle of the subframe here, at full bottom out of the suspension travel, we would inevitably hit the license plate, and then our customers would be very unhappy about that. So this product takes into account some compromises that we had to make in order to make this license plate hang in a position where you won't hit it. Now, I know in Europe they have street sign size license plates. You probably won't be able to fit that in here, so make sure you know that before you make your purchase. This is a typical size to Northern America, some South American countries, and Canada. All right, so this is the standard hardware that comes with this set. We also do offer these nice accent hardware kits. They are available in several different anodized colors. If you do choose to use this, make sure that you replace the screw that comes with this set with the screw that comes with the license plate bracket setup here. Again, this is for the purpose of not making interference here behind this whole setup. For this installation, I will use whatever we got with the kit. So let's do this again. Finishing washer, countersunk screw, and we have a flange nut that has a nylon locking element on it from the inside. I'll need to grab a 3mm Allen and an 8mm box wrench. If you are using a license plate light, this is a good time to mount it. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. We are going to clamp the license plate light between the license plate and the bracket. This bracket actually has a little notch for where the wire goes, so it's very easy to center our license plate light on this setup. You can potentially take advantage of that double side tape that we have on the license plate light. I typically just clamp them in place and do it that way. That's just my preference. Let's go ahead and tighten this down. As I tighten down, I make sure that my license plate is actually centered on this setup. Also want to make sure that when this is hung, it'll be hung evenly, so it's level. For that purpose, I have the same distance from the bracket to the top of the license plate on each side, and then also in the middle, my indicator is my license plate light sitting level. So for wire routing, we're gonna go up to the top here. I like this little window. Get that up to the top. And now we have to align these slots with the holes here. We've provided you with some slots so you can go up and down a little bit depending on what you need. You could possibly finish leveling this by scooching the bracket up and down in the slot. But for now, let's go ahead and get the washer and mounting screw through this side, another washer from the top, and then a 6mm nut. All right, once this is self-captive here, grab a 4mm Allen for the outside screws here, and a 10mm socket for the inside. And let's go ahead and start tightening this stuff down. I'm gonna go close to bottom out, and then I'm gonna make a final adjustment while looking at the rear end of this whole bike, making sure that I'm level and center, and then we're gonna tighten it down all the way. The removal of the fender on this bike renders this washer plate unconstrained. So if we were just to replace all of the components, this thing would rattle around. Let's go ahead and pull that out. I'll be using a 10mm socket on these two fasteners. Be careful, don't just pull that out. There is a spacer in here that could get lost. Make sure you retain them. Now we're able to pull up on this sub tray, but we still have interference from the taillight wiring. So we'll need to pull that plug out. Once that wires out and we pull up on this plastic sub tray and take this washer plate out, this will not be reused. Let's go ahead and replace the fasteners for the sub tray. All right, while I'm in here, I am gonna change the taillight. This is the OEM unit. Most of our conversions, we go with our integrated taillight, so I will be doing that. It's totally up to you. These are not steps necessary for the installation of the parts in this video. I'm just gonna quickly breeze through it so that we have a nice setup when we get to the end. All right, that's good to go. We can move on to the next step. In this next step, we will actually be making an installation of the undertail on the bike. Let's grab the OEM undertail and snap it from the side tail pieces. We'll need to scavenge these two rubber grommets. The larger side of these grommets faces out, as you can see. The smaller side goes in. We will collapse the smaller flange into the undertail, and once that pops through to the other side, just mush it around and rotate it. It distributes itself evenly. Just gotta make sure it didn't mushroom. All right, I'll just demonstrate the snaps really quickly, and we'll put these panels back on individually. So we will align all of the tabs the way we would have with the OEM setup. And when you force them together, they make an audible click, and then they are held together. Let's get the undertail in first. These sliding tabs will need to go into the windows provided on the taillight for them. Our taillight has identical size and location windows here to the OEM taillight. All right, once those are clicked in and pushed forward, it is self-captive. We'll grab the forward location screws here, engage them so we have a captive part on the bike. I do like to insert my screws and start the threads, and then keep them loose. I tighten everything up at the very, very end. Let's bring the right side tail into view. We'll align all of the tabs and push it in. You'll hear that audible click. And now this is self-captive. Install the forwardmost screws. We'll install the screw back here that goes from the side tail top to the tail light. And then also the bottom screw here. This tail light often needs to be manipulated up and down to line up our threaded hole with the actual fastener. Get that in, but not tight. I'm going to repeat the steps I just showed you for this side tail on the left side. At this point, all of my tail fasteners are in, so I'm going to do my alignment and tightening. These two screws on each side of these panels are the ones that fix this in place together in relation to tail light, undertail, and side tailpiece. These 3 fasteners in each panel are just responsible for getting it located, but they do not actually fix it in place. So we are going to start by tightening down on these suspended fasteners. Tighten them down all the way. And the remaining 2 here, we will align our setup. So up in the fore section here, you have a standard gap that we will try to mimic back here. I'm gonna push on this panel inboard now because it's my gap is a little bit wider here than here. Once I get it to my liking, I'm going to tighten down and fix it in place. Do not want to over tighten this connection. We have a polypropylene plastic here that could get strained. On the inside you have PMMA on the lens and ABS on the enclosure. If you strain these plastic pieces, it goes against the longevity of the product. So you need to exercise some caution here. This top screw also can fix this component in place in relation to the taillight, so you want to make sure we like the gap that we're producing. You have a little bit of adjustability inboard and outboard. So I'm going to adjust that and tighten that down. That looks really good. I'm going to repeat the steps on this side. All right, before we plug these wires in, let's make sure that all the components that we dislodged in previous steps are back together. Again, you guys didn't need to take this apart. Just move this out of the way. I was just doing that for demonstration purposes. Here, we're all good. All right, if you have signals going on with your setup, they will plug in here. Obviously, that will be a separate video for you guys. In this video, we're just gonna go a little bit beyond what we typically do in these segments and actually wire in the license plate light. As I said in the disassembly, this is your connector to connect into. I've shortened the wire to our license plate light, and we ship these lights with these nice tap connectors. They are removable, reusable, they're really nice, they're toolless, and they work really well. But what I like to do on these particular bikes is snip off a portion of the fender lighting connection that goes into here. And that way we make a little plug and play, like a dual plug and play system. It'll be plug and play here, and then also removable here. So what I told you guys already is black to black and green, red to red. I like to loop these guys over like so, and then get my connectors on here coaxial to the wire. I'll show you what that means exactly. Makes for nicer packaging here. So axis of connector is such like this, axis of wire like this, And now our new connector is also on that same axis. This way you end up plugging in this wire into there and everything's on axis. Now we have this wire overhang. What I'm going to do is use electrical tape to protect that and insulate it from the bottom. After I do both, I'm going to give it one more winding. Once again, on this black side here, I'm going to remove the larger diameter cap from our connector, overlap this wire to be sort of equidistant to this wire. There's a split that we put the wire through. And then the top here has a piercing element. As you screw this down onto this cap, piercing element pierces the insulation of this wire and makes that connection for us. Let's grab more electrical tape here. So now we have this little loom that we made, and now we can connect our wires to here. Before we do that, I'm going to throw some electrical tape on this here to make it nice and neat. All right, we still have black indicated going to here, that's ground. Green, red indicated going to here, that's positive. I'm gonna take off the small diameter cap. Careful not to lose it, they're very easy to misplace. Let's get our wire seated through here, making sure that some extends past the outer portion here, the threaded portion. We want about 3 millimeters, 1/8 of an inch. Give it a little tug, make sure that it actually sat down in there. Same on the ground side. I've successfully demonstrated that they're difficult to hang on to. I have wire protruding, get it seated in here in the connector. Cinch it down, give it a little tug. Should be good to go. Let's give it a test right now. All right, we have license plate light function. This is all good to go. I like to make sure that it's neat and out of the way. This is pretty good for me here. As an alternative, we could get it clipped under here actually. That'll work too. All right. It's also nice and neat and factory-like, good to go. Let's get our seat latch bracket in place. This slot goes on the left side of the bike. Get the screws back in and use a 4mm Allen to tighten them down. All right guys, there you have it. That's pretty much it. It was a pretty simple installation, yet it produces these awesome effects. The entire tail of this motorcycle is transformed. The lines flow together very nicely. We've closed up this giant gaping hole on the bottom. We give you the additional seat lock cover element that will allow easy access for the key and also protect the internals of your Undertail from water and grime and whatnot. If you like what you see here, check out TSTindustries.com. We have these parts ready to go. We also have other parts for this bike, as well as other bikes you may have in your stable. Thank you for watching, ride safe, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one, peace.